Welcome back to the show. It's Liquid Lunch and Robots. Okay, here we are. We're going live here on the show. It's me, Hugh. Got Nicole joining us, right, Nicole?
Right. Hello.
How do you like it so far?
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. That channel.
All right, and we got Dave Cardill joining us from, well, he's here in Toronto now, but he came in all the way from Greeley, Ontario, which is deep in the heart of the Ottawa Valley, right, Dave?
Yeah, the Ottawa Valley. I'm a valley boy.
Valley boy. You know, I have some great grandparents. They left the Ottawa Valley and canoed up in Lake Nipissing, and then built a log cabin, and that was the start of the homestead. You know what I'm saying?
I think my father's family from Wales, I think 400 years ago or something, and they were, the complex looms. To make those blankets to give to the Indians to depopulate them.
Right.
Well, they didn't do the medical thing. They built looms. They were engineer types or whatever. But my family's been here for a long time. I think my brother's kid's skin is starting to climatize to the area.
To get darker.
Yeah, they're going red. Their skin's going red.
I have a funny theory about that. I think it does have.
Yeah.
But, well, they say the people from the UK, right? They're pretty pasty, right?
Yeah.
But the Canadians are a little more, they tan well in the summer, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but certainly not Welsh white anymore, I don't think.
You're not.
No.
Yeah, you're Canadian
well going red, climatizing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually think that happens.
Yeah, I think so too.
So here we are. We're talking about, you're a physicist, you're an engineer, and you Skyped in a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about some pretty serious issues. And by the way, Nicole, just jump in whenever you want.
Fabulous. Okay.
Okay. Some serious issues like the fact that we're burning all this internal combustion. We're burning fuels, and it's eating up the oxygen in the atmosphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we call, well, not all of us, but it's why Albert Einstein has been called the grandfather of the environmental movement, because he was the first one, under no uncertain terms, we have to stop burning fossil fuels.
He said that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, they notoriously sweep things under the rug, but he in fact spent the last 15 years of his life going on more about that than he ever talked about anything else.
And in the UK now, they're trying, well, originally they started the methane gas fueled bus, the poop scoop. Now they're trying out coffee beans for gas purposes.
Yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, to an engineer or a physicist, it doesn't matter. I mean, when you burn something, like, this is a pretty big room. And we could fill this place up with candles. And it's happened in monasteries and whatnot. You've seen that before. Churches, whatever. Fill the place up with candles and light them all. Nothing. We'd be fine. But it's a different beast, though, an internal combustion engine. They literally are oxygen hogs. They're not just free-flowing fire. They have reed valves and suction and compression, and they suck an enormous amount of air into themselves and blow it out the other side, all by force.
So, just this, around the science of it. So the air is not being consumed, though. The air is just a catalyst for the combustion process. Is that right?
No. What hydrocarbons, fossil fuels, have no oxygen in them. And in fact, it's not the power of the hydrocarbon that makes that thing go, because an internal combustion engine won't work on the moon. It won't work in space.
Yeah, it needs the air to
it's oxygen.
Combustion.
Yes, and
needs oxygen.
Right. So fire is rapid oxidization.
So does it actually use up the oxygen?
Yeah, it turns the O2 turns into CO, carbon monoxide, CO2, which is that's all the media ever says exhaust fumes are is CO2.
Yeah.
Even though there's 8 oxides made in that motor. And so, right off the bat, there's a big lie.
Yeah.
And there's people in universities and whatnot at, the ExxonMobil Atmospheric Institute down at the University of Toronto who are studying these gases that make up 0.000000001% of the atmosphere. And I don't know why the big two, nitrogen and oxygen, are ignored. But for a long time, professors at universities, I've heard, many over the years, who always complain about the same thing. We can only do whatever our funding allows us to do.
And essentially, that goes with the old adages. Like, they think they know what the purpose is and what the use is for, so they dismiss it and go on to other things instead of re-looking into it. Would that be the concept?
Yeah, adages can help us or they can really hurt us. True
Now,
that.
Aren't some of the adages they give to gasoline actually more polluting than the non-adages?
Nice.
All right, I'll take that back.
I don't know. Yeah, they have some garbage they want to get rid of, so they just put it in gasoline, and there you go. Because, burning it in an incinerator, historically, entire towns have been killed by this, right? So they just don't want it to go that way again. So they'll just spread it out, put it in everybody's gas.
Sounds like a great way to get rid of PCBs.
Yeah, or lots of other things.
Yeah. So now you were saying that the oxygen content of the atmosphere is actually decreasing significantly, and that is a huge problem.
That's an epic problem.
What?
Hold that thought for a moment. I have some diagrams there I'd like to know about.
All right. Okay, Dave's going to go get that. Right. While Dave's doing that, we'll just keep talking to keep the viewers interested. But we saw some of these.
Technical
Yeah,
problems?
I still wasn't able to, and I saw lots of pigeons. You'll probably see some out here. I know you were asking me about the pigeons, but I still see lots of pigeons.
Yeah, well, there was a time when you never had to go looking for them.
Yeah.
Never. I mean, every city was full of them all the time. They were a problem, They're but now you have to pay attention and go looking for them.
Is
But
it the species
not,
on decline?
One bird type does not a biosphere make, right?
Yeah, and then what I was telling you was that when I was out in BC and I was sitting in a nice suburban environment with lots of trees, I was actually I heard hardly any bird song at all, hardly any, and it bothered me. I thought I hear way more in Toronto, and I thought there should be more birds. And what's going on? Is it Fukushima? This is what I thought, right? Because you're closer over there. But
Right.
I don't know.
No, there was a young lad had put together a video a while ago. It's been on the YouTubes. It's you can look it up. It's every atomic bomb detonation.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
You saw that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's 2,500 of them or something, all over the planet. So
Yeah.
I don't know why Fukushima would be any more deadly to birds in Canada than the 23 or 2,500 other nuclear detonations.
Well, this was different than a
Are these
nuclear
migratory
bomb.
birds, or
It's any birds. All I saw was the great big crows. That's all I saw.
Yeah, that's crows. Now there is a relationship between a species that has to do with its specific lung capacity versus its mass, and it turns out that's the determinant factor as to what's here and what's gone. But a lot is gone. I mean, when were you in British Columbia?
In August.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
lower mainland, or
Yeah, pretty much. Vancouver Island for a bit, but there we go.
They're
There's
going to
a
be
graph.
backwards or forwards there.
So that's
Oh, wait a moment.
yeah, that's going the right way. I mean the wrong way.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that's better. It looks
So
the
this
same.
is time,
Yeah.
and this is the declining oxygen level from one of our atmospheric monitoring stations.
So let me tell you. So what is it? So just hold that up again. In the upper left-hand corner, what year is that, and what's the oxygen percentage?
This goes from
No, just the year, the earliest year, and the highest oxygen.
1990.
Yeah. And what's the oxygen?
Well, they're doing it in moles. This isn't by percentage. This is from Cape Grim. So there's the people working at our atmospheric monitoring stations. They're old school. They like to do flask samples and let it sit, and just they're so regimental in their old school way of doing it. Whereas we have sensors now that we use in mining operations that are better, but they don't want to. They don't want to just buy an oxygen sensor, and they want to do the flask samples the old way and do it. So they do, but I'm not sure what that scale is. But this does go from 1990 to 2006. And this is why Einstein complained about it. This is why Einstein said you have to stop doing this, because he was the first one to notice that it actually had come down. And also, I think at MIT, where he hung out a lot, I was at MIT a couple of times, and it sort of got pointed in that direction. I think what they did was they had a chamber, controlled environment, and they just lowered the O2. Well, they put a bunch of stuff in there, and they just lowered the O2 level slowly to see what fell down when. And that way he was able to deduce that once the bees go, we'll only have 4 years left. And that is exactly why he said that. He also said that it is a mistake for us to share our world with devices. I'm just looking at all the cars down the street here. For us to share our world with devices that, like me, consume oxygen. That is a mistake. And I think that maybe even, back in the early 1900s, when the whole fossil industrial complex was being ramped up, I'm sure that they were aware of that. However, the mindset of people, we are only just now starting to talk about, in our culture. I'm sure in Indian cultures they've been talking about coming back and the whole, you're just going to do this over and over again. But we didn't look at it that way. Our mindset throughout our culture was for a long time, when you die, you're gone. That's it. So I think...
Now with the spirituality and all of this
it's
new
not,
world?
It's more than that. It's pictures. We've actually got pictures now. We can photograph in the electromagnetic field spectrum and see the big magnetic fields around ourselves. Our energy goes way outside our body. And I think they've even photographed people dying and the energy going.
So what does that mean in terms of...
Well, that means that the idea that it was okay to shoot everybody from the grave was a bad idea. That's what that means.
And the bodily energy is created by the aura? There are 9 levels of the aura?
I'm only looking at it as a physicist, not really spiritually. I know that we're energy-based life forms. I know that remember in primary school, maybe the first time you had a microscope and you scraped the inside of your cheek with a toothpick, and you put that on a slide and you a little bit of purple dye with that, and you looked at your own cheek cells. So I've got trillions of cells inside me, but none of them are aware who David is. Right? David is aware who David is. So also our pineal gland at the middle of our brain is chock full of crystals. So crystals, if another, stupid moment or a bad adage that we've passed on is that somehow our evolution stops at some kind of a ape type creature. However, in order for evolution to be true, you have to follow that path all the way back to crystals. Otherwise, it's not true. I don't know why we stop at apes. But there's a certain kind of dinosaur. If you look on more extensive graphs with the flow charts for all the different animal types, and there are certain dinosaur types that had 3 holes in the back of the skull, like we do, and they are the ancestors to all of the species like us and horses and other ones that have 3 holes in the back of the skull.
Is that why they invented
crocodiles, which have 1 hole in the back of the skull,
Sorry, who's got 1 hole in the back?
Crocodiles. They have their brain's the size of my thumbnail, and all they need to know is that I've got teeth and I can bite that. So that worked for them, and it's still working for them. And
So we got the. If that's this is where when you were on the Skype a couple weeks ago, this is the first I heard that we have that, and nobody's talking about it, right?
nobody showed you that.
Nobody's talking about, and I still want to see what the percentage of the oxygen is.
I'm going to
that because that needs to be translated to
common language.
Because I looked for some graphs
I
to
agree.
support what you're saying in terms of atmospheric oxygen as a percentage of the total atmosphere.
I'm
I
also
haven't seen
curious
that.
if the decline in the oxygen is leading to the increase in the different types of diseases that are occurring to humans, like humanity.
I don't know. Wasn't there a guy who won? He won a prize in medicine or something like that. He was a while ago, but he was the guy that first said that cancer thrives in an oxygen depleted environment, and cancer has a hard time taking hold at all in an oxygen enriched environment. He won a Nobel Prize the year that he.
I just remembered you got a Michael Jackson T-shirt, and of course Michael Jackson had his own oxygen tent. Is that why you're wearing the T-shirt?
Lots of people who live above the 85th floor have oxygen installed in their houses and living and stuff.
And in Las Vegas, they infuse oxygen.
It's true. I went to Caesar's Palace once where they have the oxygen. It was pretty cool, man. I wanted to spend a whole day in there and gamble. I think they might have put something else in that.
Laughing gas?
Oxygen. Sadly, no.
Okay.
Well, we will either have all of these species in the animal kingdom or we will have the fossil industrial complex, but we will not have both. That's what Einstein's point was.
And I've never even heard, everybody hears Einstein quotes all the time, but I never heard that one either.
Yeah.
Are they trying to suppress it?
They are, chronic, habitual liars.
But they're only doing themselves in with these
They're
lies.
only doing themselves in.
Aren't they?
Well, I didn't say they were sane chronic habitual liars. I would give them the title sane after that,
Now, who are they? Is there a...
Well, apparently there's 8 families that own 93% of the money, and the rest of us are fighting over the other 7%.
And why is the concept of lying actually sanity?
Pardon?
Why is the concept of lying actually sanity? Like, why is it sane?
Oh, well, if you're lying for a reason, you're lying because you don't want people building their own electric cars in their garage. You'd rather them just come to you and whatever. That's lying for a sane reason. It's greed based. Lying is lying. However, if you lie, like you said, they're going to do themselves in. If everything goes down here, then everything goes down here.
And then
Where is the
everybody
gain
else is involved.
Where is the gain for them in that? Dumbs.
Deep underground military bases.
Right.
Do they have any near Ottawa?
Diefenbunker, yeah.
The Diefenbunker, isn't that defunct?
I don't know. I don't know. But satellite tracking, interesting stuff. I've done geothermal systems over the years, and we did a satellite tracking station for the government, federal government, Canada, 20-something, back in the 80s. And the guy showed me one picture. It was just, southern Quebec, and it was all red, but by the different shades of red, they had circles on it. And it's like, you see, like, what all those circles are? And I'm like, no. He says, those are all the pot fields.
Really?
Yeah. From space.
They were able to identify it from space in the 80s?
If there's enough of it in the same place, because every leaf has its own particular shade of green. So they just look at the whole thing in shades of red, and by the specific shade of red that it is, it was like, we're looking for this shade of red.
So is it the photosynthesis of the leaves?
It's just the color of them. It's just the color of them.
Because every leaf is just so slightly different green.
Yeah.
That they're able to, with all this
spot them, the big
interpolation and computers,
right,
figure out where the pot plants are. Now, if only everyone had that technology.
But anyway, so from space, our technology, we are, in my humble opinion, godlike. Our technological capabilities make us godlike, and we could be doing so much good. But another one of the things we can notice from space is, you know, those big drills that they use to drill the English Channel?
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of those, and they're running, I guess they're going to be putting a high-speed rail all around the planet at some point. But once you build a tool like that costs a lot of money, you don't ever want to turn it off.
Is it going to be beginning
It's
with
got to
the
keep
TTC?
working to
So
make...
they're building the high-speed underground rail between the deep underground military bases with these things, right?
Probably would do that first.
Yeah.
Now, but my point, though, was from our satellite, from being able to see the vibrations of these things, there's been such a flurry of activity underneath Switzerland that would justify several massive cities underground in Switzerland.
You know about that?
Well, like you're rupturing the core. It's just like when, what do they call it? Fracking.
Yeah.
When they're rupturing the core, and it's like creating the gases to stream into the water and intermix with elements that they're not supposed to. Like it's not a natural habitat for those chemicals.
Yeah, see the fracking. I mean, even insane behavior. To do the tar sands, they remember at the beginning of the tar sand project, before they even started, they knew, because the oil is in sand, they knew that they had to spend 3 units of energy to recover 1 unit of energy.
Really?
Yeah. That was the formula at the beginning. It takes 3 units of energy to recover 1 unit of energy. And they went ahead anyways. I mean, the World Bank released just a month ago, it was either the World Bank or the IMF, but the subsidies to the oil companies is $10 million per minute. $5.3 trillion a year.
Okay.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
under those terms, they don't care. 3 units of energy to get 1? Well, we're just spending your money, fool.
So what about this idea of the water-powered car? Have you heard about that one?
There's been many over the years.
Steam powered?
No, water-powered. Steam-powered isn't power. It's coal-powered. The steam engine is coal-powered or whatever. But
I
water-powered...
like what Elon Musk is doing, actually. Primarily for the you know, all the world's indeed a stage, but it's their stage, and they built it, and they own the stage, they own the curtains, they own the lights, they own the sets, they own the script, they own everything. It's their freaking stage, okay? So if anything is on the stage, it's only because they've allowed it to be on the stage. And Elon Musk is currently on the stage with the Tesla electric cars, and they haven't stopped him. And further, he says... pretty much every time that man's ever spoken in public, he says the same thing. This experiment that's being conducted with the chemical composition of our atmosphere has got to end. And he's trying. He released the patents for his cars so that hopefully some of the other auto manufacturers would start doing that as well. Because he knows. He's another one who knows.
Now, what if you burn water, though? And that's what these water-powered cars are all about.
Yeah, well, I mean, that could be a fuel cell technology related.
It's not, though. It's just water.
Okay, well, if you burn hydrogen, you're essentially oxidizing hydrogen, and so your emissions are water.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they say, that these water-powered cars, that's all that comes out of the exhaust. Yes, but they would be taking
the free oxygen from the atmosphere. You would only have hydrogen on board.
Well, what they do with the water, somehow they, you put water in the gas tank, and what happens? There's a device at the carburetor that it's some kind of it does electrolysis on demand.
Yes,
low cost electrolysis.
Yeah,
on demand.
So you start off with water, you split it into oxygen, hydrogen, you run that through your internal combustion engine, it goes back to water again.
So are you using up atmospheric oxygen in that process?
Not if you make it on site. That's under those terms. That's a closed system that works perfectly well.
It's coming from the water.
Yeah, you're taking your hydrogen from water, and for every hydrogen you release from water, you're releasing an O2 because it's two. Oh no, it's 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Sorry.
Yeah.
But in any event, your hydrogen's coming from the water.
Yeah.
You go boom in the motor, and it goes back to being water again. That's a closed system.
Yeah.
That would work fine.
Okay, that's what we want. Because then you can go in, you can do anything, right? You can do, you can desalinate the oceans at will. You can turn the Sahara into a garden.
Well, I like what Elon Musk is doing because with batteries that can 400 kilometer range, you can put extended range in them. And like I said, it's not it's less than a kilowatt hour to fill your car up.
So what? Less than a kilowatt hour. So
right?
how long do you have to keep it plugged in for?
Well, the lithium-ion batteries, they charge in half an hour, 45 minutes. Pretty quick.
And it's not consuming a lot of energy.
No. It's nothing like they say. I have a friend who a few months ago, for days at a time, he was just kind of stuck in this little loop. But what he was saying was, everything. I have to, what's installed on your hard drive that you need? If you were raised in our culture, you think that you have some useful files. And if you look at your mind as a computer bank and you carry files, your memories or whatever, it's like, what is useful in my head? And it's like nothing. He was just, the more you learn about things, the more you realize that absolutely every file, well, this is what he was going through, but every single file on his hard drive was useless, and he had to delete all of them. He was just lamenting that. It was funny. I guess it was funnier if he would be in there.
I wish I was there. Okay, Dave, listen, I know you traveled a long way to get here. We don't have a lot of time, but what else do you want to let people know about today? Or emphasize?
I don't know. Can you help me out here? I mean, you were you said you went to British Columbia and there weren't any birds. Well, I was raised in the country, small town south of Ottawa, and I'll tell you, no word of a lie, I spent the spring, summer, and fall of 2009 drinking every single day. I'm not advising anybody to do that.
Drinking alcohol?
It didn't do anything. But it let me sleep because all my life, being raised in the country with the windows open in the summertime and listening to the orchestra of sounds out there,
yeah.
well, in 2009, it went silent.
Silent?
Yeah, silent. I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my, I already knew what was going on, but to actually have it be silent, that was just so...
Silent.
And then at the end of that, some girl showed up and just made me stand up and brush myself off and carry on.
Okay, wait, I got a call coming in. Wait.
And they say men in denim built this country.
Hello.
Men in suits are destroying it.
What built it?
Men in denim built this country, and
Yes.
men in
Hi,
suits are destroying it.
Yeah. Something.
I know,
Something has
yeah.
to give.
Oh yeah, great, awesome. It is by the subway entrance on the lower level. It's a liquor store. It's an LCBO. Yeah.
What other charts
Are
do
you
have
coming over
there?
here?
Is there more information?
We'll bring
that you
extras
have that
then.
you can
Get
show?
extras then.
Like
We're going to need it.
graphs?
You know what I'm saying? We're on you. Not enough, no. 12 pack. 12 pack. We got
there-
guests.
Are there any other graphs that you have to share?
Whatever you want.
Dave?
Yeah,
What would you get
this is
normally?
actually this is from Cape Grim.
I usually go for
know
something in
if
the
they're gonna-
budget price range.
Where's Cape Grim located again?
I don't know. Whatever you want. We're good.
It's
with
at the bottom of Australia.
Sorry.
Okay, great.
Bottom of Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Is that by Perth?
Fantastic.
I
Okay,
don't
we'll
know.
see you soon.
Okay.
Okay,
I
bye.
honestly don't know Australia very well at all. And this is another one. This is a written document. This is
Can I see it?
interpreting seasonal cycles of atmospheric oxygen. Okay, and the entire article is on is that, and here's another one of the same graphs. You see all of our See how that sawtooth up and down?
Yeah.
That's
the
our
same
falling.
graph, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So
all of our atmospheric monitoring stations tell us exactly the same thing.
So you live in the country, you sleep with the window open in the summer, and you hear that orchestra of nature, and you're saying it's gone silent.
In 2009, it did. It came back. Some of them came back in 2010, but it has never returned to what it was. So, at cricket, it used to be. They're like once, I don't know if they were insects or frogs or whatever goes on at night, but I mean, in the country, it was all day long. The birds are doing their noise thing, and they'd quiet down at around sunset, and then the insects and frogs and everything else would take over, and they'd be doing that all night long. And they actually would pay attention to each other and sing a song. Like one would start doing something, another one would ever, and then it would always end with the bullfrogs with their really deep sounds, you know? Yeah, it was, but that went away. And I don't know, man. I thought, the sky was falling, man.
Where'd Dave go? Yeah, so that is.
So this is a pretty important document. This is.
As I was growing up, I had gas, as you could say.
I've had gas.
And it's better to burp and taste it than fart and waste it, is my philosophy. And I used to always say, those darn bullfrogs keep following me.
Cute. So I have a piece of advice for you. You may not heed it. I can't make anyone do anything. This is just a report based on an anomaly that was noticed, and it was a difference between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. The bulk of the oxidization, which destroys, we're losing an amount of oxygen that is measured hundreds of cubic kilometers per day.
Are trees not pro-oxygen?
It's insane. Oh, the trees are dying too. What they never talk about, when they talk about exhaust fumes and they say CO2, and they're all like, oh, CO2 is a plant friendly, it makes things all good. Listen, what about the carbon monoxide? What about the nitrous oxides and the sulfur oxides? There's 8 oxides made in exhaust fumes. So to even talk about exhaust fumes as if they are CO2 is erroneous. It's staggeringly erroneous. You're leaving 7/8 of the produced gases out of your equation. You're not even discussing them. So you're not going to get the right numbers. This is actually, the purpose of these two graphs right here is specifically that. See how this one is falling at that rate, and this one is only climbing slower? Well, this is the CO2. And the reason the CO2 increase doesn't line up with the O2 decrease is because this is only 1 out of 8. If you put all of the oxides on here, these two lines would match up perfectly. But again, 7/8 of the story is not being told. But this does describe the difference between the northern air mass and the southern air mass, and how because the northern air mass is where the bulk of the oxidization is occurring, the southern air mass always has a higher O2 level. So I'm going to Peru.
You're going to Peru. You're going to Peru.
I'm going to Peru.
Funny.
Does that?
I'm bailing, man.
Coincide?
I'm jumping overboard, and I'm like, see you later, suckers, and I'm swimming to Peru.
Now, why Peru, not Ecuador?
Ecuador's right on the equator. It's cutting it close.
So what about southern Ecuador?
I don't know.
What about the concept that the Earth is actually tilting?
What is it, what?
In its axis?
Yeah, what if the axis tilts and then you're all of a sudden on the northern hemisphere again? Know what I'm saying?
Does that mean all the people will slide to the south and I'll have to deal with them all in the south, just like up here? I don't know.
Well, I saw this video on YouTube. Someone had a dream, and in the dream, the new South Pole was Cape Town. And so Newfoundland had one of the best climates in the world, but it was still in the northern hemisphere after that.
Well, I should be on my snowmobile already. The day I was born, we got 10 feet of snow. I was born on the 11th of November. Okay, and I sold my snowmobile in the 80s for the scrap metal that was in it because it stopped snowing. Hey, did I tell you? I lived right beside one of the most northern capital cities on earth.
Ottawa,
yeah.
yeah.
I sold my snowmobile, man.
Okay, so, but like it was getting warmer, but then in the last few years it seems to have been getting colder again. And I'm hearing now that the Arctic and the Antarctic ice is increasing. And although you hear different reports, you hear some that it's decreasing, but I'm hearing some that it's increasing. And last few years have been cold. Now this year so far is pretty good. It's been pretty nice. I mean, here
Remember the old ice boxes?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the hunt camp, not. At
Well,
the house.
I mean, we used to cut ice out of our rivers, and store them underground in straw bales. We actually had hundreds of years of ice boxes.
Yeah.
There's no mechanical moving parts in those. You just put the guy with the melt runs in the cities up and down, the same, the bread and the eggs and the Iceman.
Yeah.
Would deliver ice.
Yeah.
And so you got your 12 by 12 chunk of ice and you stuck it in the middle of your fridge and done. And it was a pipe for the dripping water. Well, latent heat. James Burke is a famous British documentarist. He did a couple of series called Connections. He did another one called The Day the Universe Changed. And that was a 6-part series. And according to him, I would concur, but according to him, in The Day the Universe Changed, when we discovered latent heat, that, more than any other discovery, changed everything about us.
What do you mean latent heat?
Latent heat.
What is that?
It's the guiding principle behind a refrigerator. It's why it rains. Do I have a graph? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I have a graph.
That's okay.
But, I do actually. Oh no, it's in my car.
It's okay. Describe it for us, or tell us what it is.
Okay, so. Whoops. That should be a straight line. Okay. So here's a minus 50 degree piece of ice, and you add heat to it over time. And it warms up till it gets to the freezing point. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're still adding heat, and it sits there, and it sits there, and it sits there, and it sits there. And then, once all of the ice is melted, now water can be, at the freezing point, either water or ice. Right?
Get that on camera.
So once all the ice is melted, completely melted, then the water will start to warm up till it gets to the boiling point.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a horrible line. That should be...
Look how helpful Nicole's being. That's very helpful, Nicole.
Okay. So you start off with minus 50 degree ice, and you warm it up, and it gets to zero, and it stays there until absolutely all of the ice is melted, and then it'll start to warm up again until it gets to the boiling point, and it'll sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there for a long time, and then it will start to warm up again. So every time you cross, this is what latent heat is. Every time you cross the line going from a solid to a liquid or a liquid to a gas, either of two things will happen. It will either absorb insane amounts of heat. Like, it only takes a couple hundred BTUs to warm water from 0 to 100, but then you have to add another 1186 or something to get it to actually turn to steam. So coming both ways across that line, either of two things will happen. It will either absorb insane amounts of energy, and it's insane. It's like nothing to get it from 0 to 100, but it's a lot to get it from 100 liquid to 100 steam. And going back the other way. And so for several reasons. One, we were used to seeing lines, curves and straight lines and graphs or whatever. This threw a wrench in the whole thing in the scientific community. Fully, completely, it did. So it made people, it was the first time the entire scientific community actually started looking outside the box. So that's one reason why he said it was the day the universe changed. And the second one was that it explains why it rains. Well, high pressure systems, low pressure systems, condensation, evaporation. What runs a refrigerator, which changed everything. We stopped using ice boxes. You know, we had cold beer from that day forward.
Should be here in a few minutes.
So do they still use Freon gas for the refrigeration?
No, we don't. I'm a refrigeration mechanic. We don't use that anymore. We're going to start using CO2, actually.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, it's even better. It's sky's full of it today.
Okay, Dave. I think we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Did you have fun?
Go to Peru. That's all I
Peru.
can tell
Are you going to live there? Seriously?
Either that or Chile, yeah.
You know, we should have got those guys because we had the other people on the show today wrote a book about Peru.
I was asked to go speak or teach English in Peru.
I'd like to go learn English in Peru.
Excellent.
Dave, is there any contact info or anything you want to give out, or are you just happy?
Anybody wants? I mean, there's a small group of people, but basically we have a skeleton crew. Most of the people involved in this, my email address, david.cardill@bellnet.ca. Yep, that's all I got. Nothing to flog, no website, no, nothing for sale.
You're going to Peru. I want to go to Peru too.
Well,
when are you going? You don't have to say.
You know what? I am going to be in Toronto for a few days. I'm going over. There's a professor over at University of Guelph I'm going to go see. He is an avid bird watcher. They know more than anyone else what's going on with the birds. Then I'm going to Cambridge. There's a manufacturer in Cambridge, right beside Guelph. They make oxygen sensors for mining operations because, we still lose thousands of miners every year, but it used to be tens of thousands every year. And, of course, the most common cause of death was lack of oxygen. You're down in the ground. You have to keep pumping fresh air to them. And if they go just a short amount of time without a fresh supply of air, they're all dead. And like, shit, start over again. We used to use a canary down there. Now we have sensors. So this company makes sensors. They're supposed to be making me one that reads to 4 decimal points. So instead of like 19.78, it'll read 19.7811 or something, you know what I mean? And we tried actually to get media to just put in the newspaper. We have your high temperature of the day, low temperature of the day, the pressure, the high pressure, low pressure. Why don't you put the oxygen level in there too? It's kind of important. But we failed. We've been trying since...
well, we'll do it here at that channel.
Put on the wall there?
Let's do it, because somebody else just suggested we do also our radiation, to measure that
Geiger counter?
radiation. Well, whatever
it's a Geiger
an appropriate and accurate, and we probably needed 4 decimal points to measuring device. Anyway, Dave, thanks for doing this
I'm going to
today.
go pick one up. If you want one, let me know.
Okay. All right. Hey, Dave Cardill. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So I just want to say, stay tuned here at thatchannel.com. We're going to be doing some cleanup around here, getting ready for an event we're having live at 7 o'clock tonight. That's just a couple of 2.5 hours from now. And it's going to be about some healing sound technology. It's going to be fascinating, as usual, here on thatchannel.com. From downtown Toronto, I'm Hugh Riley. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.